Are you wearing gel?
No.
Really?
Let me just tell you. You know what? That's not how I wanted to start.
Too late to go. What?
I haven't showered in 36 hours.
Oh my God.
The water's turned off in my building. Apartment, not my apartment, but someone's apartment's flooding. And my dog's bleeding out of his fucking asshole, having to go outside every 2 hours. And that's where I'm at right now.
Welcome to the downside. You just heard my co-host complain that his dog is bleeding out his asshole.
Yeah.
New dog or the old dog?
New one. Old one's fine.
What
New
did you...
one, I think just diarrhea, but like we took him to the vet today. But he's fine. Like they gave him some stuff to help it. But it's like when you have an open wound that just keeps, because you're shitting every 2 hours, your bloody asshole is just getting ripped open. So he keeps pooping and it's hurting, you know? But he's just liquid, just coming out, squirting out. So last night, or no, 2 nights ago, we woke, like he's usually like every 8 or 9 hours, you know, like it's like 3 or 4 times a day. We take him out. And he pooped in the crate in the middle of the night. And it's one of those things you just wake up with that smell, you know? And so then you got to fix it all. But then the poops went from regular soft poops to just squirting blood.
So this is my co-host, Russell. Modi. We're here with stand-up comedian, Modi. How are you doing, Modi?
I'm a little nauseous, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, normally you're the one who's nauseous. I'm frankly surprised you're talking so.
I've overexposed. I've just been living with it. So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, thank you
So
for being
miserable.
here.
If we're doing that, what kind of a dog is this? Just so
He's a pit bull.
A pit bull.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And how big is your apartment?
We don't gotta get into it. It's bigger than this. But not. Oh, well, I'm not. You don't live here. I'm just saying, like,
Sure.
It's not much bigger than this. I mean,
How many days would this have to go on before you put him down?
no. He's. It was going on a day. We were like, hopefully this will resolve itself, and it didn't resolve itself today. So we took him to the vet. They said he's fine. It's just it's a thing in the butt, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and they gave him like a probiotic, or no, what do you call it? Well, it's this.
Yeah, probiotic, like to give him a smoothie?
No.
To give him a little
What's the word
ciabatta
I'm
yogurt?
trying to come up with? Like a penicillin antibiotic. Okay,
Great.
It's a big difference.
Yeah. No.
Well, you missed our episode. We had a live episode with a vet, Dr. Lisa Lippman, and she would have had all sorts of ideas. You don't have pets.
No, I don't. I don't
No.
have pets. I live in New York City.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's inhumane to have a pet in New York
No,
City,
it's
let
not.
alone
Shut
two.
the fuck up.
Okay,
It's
all right.
insane to have
Russell
What
is
an original take.
welcome to the downside. This is a place where we complain, we get negative, where we let people talk about the things that bother them. They don't have to be grateful. They don't have to be thankful. They can really let loose. They anything they want. We're not going to judge them. Thank you for being here. If you're a fan of the show, join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. I have a thing at the end, remind me, for the patrons.
Okay.
It's a new idea I have, but I'm so happy to be here. Listen, people tell all the time, they say, this show, it's very Jewish. Can we tone down the Jewishness?
Do they say that?
And I said, after this guest, you got it. So we brought Modi here. Modi, thank you for being on the downside.
My pleasure.
Anything bothering you right now? You're like a positive
I'm
guy.
very positive.
Well, let the other side out. Let it go.
What, the downside?
Oh yeah.
I don't have what's negative? I mean,
What's negative?
I don't have any negative.
What's bothering you? What's the last time you got mad? What's the last thing you got annoyed at?
I will tell you.
Thank you.
There's a family that lives next door to us. I live a few blocks away, but like in a real building, and not in this cage. We have an apartment that we combined. It's a big, beautiful apartment. And next to us, I share a wall with this family in a 3-bedroom apartment, and they have a dog, a little toy toy.
Poodle?
Yeah.
Poodle doodle, what do we call, but a toy. It's this big, the whole thing. It's like a little rat.
Yeah.
And it barks and squeaks.
The little ones, they bark all the time.
It's the most insane thing. So I've been, first we used to knock on the door, knock on the wall, and then they would scream that we're knocking on the and we'd knock even more. And then one time I even took a speaker and put like a crazy loud barking dog and put it against their wall.
God. Wow.
And then, but now we're going through the building and all kinds of stuff. But I
Wait, hold up. So you like pulled up YouTube video of dog barks?
Yep, exactly. On a big Sonos speaker and put it against their wall.
Now they're home when the dog's barking, and they're not.
They're home
They're not intervening.
when they're home. So from what we've detected, detective work, whatever you want. It's not detected. They have a son who has a girlfriend, and I think it's her dog, and sometimes they leave it there, and sometimes and this is a dog that needs to be on someone's, like a rich woman on Fifth Avenue in her lap the whole day. There's
In
not
a
a
Chanel
dog you can
bag.
leave. Right, you can't leave this dog alone. It's going crazy, and when they do leave it alone, the barking and the screeching is insane. And then when they're in the house and they're not giving it full attention, it's going crazy. So it's just but I have, like, at moments where I want to get the speaker and make the noise, I've been holding back. I've been
How you holding it right up to the wall? I mean, you just putting it there. You're leaving the house.
No. We put it against the wall. They go. We can hear them in there going crazy because of it.
What do they say? Do they know it's fake?
They obviously know it's fake. We call the security. We do all we have to do to get set to contact a lawyer for the whole situation.
Oh my God.
Have you talked to them in person?
We have. It doesn't work.
What's your tactic? Are you charming,
So
Modi? Are you?
No, this is not okay. This is not okay. This is if it is an emotional support, though, you're making my emotions insane. You're making me crazy, and you don't have the right to downgrade somebody's quality of life this way. You can't decide I'm now going to bring noise into these people's lives that that I live next to.
Yes.
This isn't the Hamptons. You can't just like get a dog and it's barking and you're not alone.
Well, and it's different if it was like there's an effort on their part to stop it and to curb the behavior.
They don't want to hear it either, but they
But it's
can't
just
deal with
letting it go on.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, and we've got the dogs on the floor. We love Chester. I love him. Every time I see him, I hug him and have a great day. But this is absolutely insanity.
I have a neighbor that doesn't know that their dog doesn't bark when they're home. And it will bark like if it hears our dogs in the hall getting off the elevator, and then it'll bark for like 10 minutes or so, and they don't know.
Is there any part of you?
Because
So
there's no way that
we had that downstairs for a minute, underneath us, and we left some signs. Your dog is losing it when you're not home. Absolutely losing it when you're not home.
Yeah.
It's torture to the animal. It's da-da-da-da-da.
What's good about my
Luckily, they
building
moved
though
out.
is that when we're in our apartment, something with the sound, you can't hear it as much. It's in the hall. It sounds like it's so loud.
Yeah.
But then when you close our door, it's not that noticeable, and we don't share a wall with anyone. So
Do you ever wonder now that maybe they just have a Sonos speaker and they're just trying to fuck with you to get
no,
back
I can tell because
for your bloody dog's asshole leaving a trail in the hallway?
No, it didn't leave in the asshole or in the hallway. But they leave it on the balcony sometimes on nice days, and that's when you can. If our windows are open, it like stares into our window and like barks at us.
Wow.
Yeah, it just seems like tough to have a dog in New York City.
Yeah.
It really isn't. But it would be tough for you.
And how
But
about
a lot of things are
And
tough.
how about hold on. You know, we had on my podcast we had Eric Batra, the city council assemblyman, whatever, for a certain part of the city.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Flatiron, whatever. He's like the city, like, for that area. And he said one of the biggest problems in New York City right now is the dog shit. Do you pick up your dog shit?
I don't. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. I don't know if a city council member should be saying that that's one of the biggest problems.
No. He absolutely that.
There
the
was a
rats,
man who was just choked to death on the
rats,
subway.
I'm just saying, this guy has his eyes in the wrong places
The
right
rats.
now.
No, it's a quality of life again. Yeah, I'm
Sure.
You know what? I went.
Sure.
But the worst problem in New York City.
It's a problem.
I agree, it's a problem. I just wouldn't put it in the top
Number
5
7.
things that we're dealing with in the city.
I got here early to your and I just said, I'm doing a walk around the block, and I went down to the one after this, which was a Suffolk, Norfolk, whatever, the one where the basketball stuff is.
Yeah.
And I made that left, and the entire entire sidewalk is dog do. I mean, yeah.
Maybe we're wrong.
It's,
Number one problem.
It's a big problem. It's
You take
I
care of
didn't
the
say
dog
number
poop,
one.
everything else goes away.
He said the rats were above the dog poo, but the dog poo is a situation.
What's going on with the rats? I don't know.
The rats are the rats.
What do you mean? What's going on with the rats? The city is
I'll
filled
be
with
honest,
them.
I don't see them that often. I see them.
That's because he's way
I
up.
think if I see 10 rats a week, that's not very much.
Oh, I see 10 rats on the walk home from the cellar.
Okay.
They scurry in front of me. Have you ever had a rat hit your leg?
No.
Once.
It was awful.
It's like a big flesh hitting your leg. Yep.
Oh, it's
in flip flops once.
Yeah.
Oh, it
No,
was
flip
awful. It
flops.
was
What are you wearing
awful.
flip flops for?
Well, listen, man.
What are you wearing flip flops in New York City?
Because I had to take my goddamn dog out late at night, and I just want to do it quickly. That's why.
In flip flops.
I didn't know.
What if you step on a needle? What if you step on a needle?
A needle? No, I don't. It's not that crazy. I live in a pretty resident. Like it's like pretty way uptown. Way uptown.
Oh, okay.
It's not like it's not like that. It's
Right,
by-
there's
by
no
a park.
crackheads uptown.
No, there is, but
Right,
it's not
so there's
like,
no needles on the floor. Ew.
Ew. This is the downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.
We're here. Russell Spicy today.
I'm spicy.
I know
That's
it's
a
been
spicy
you
pepper.
spent a lot of today picketing against the Writers Guild.
Yeah,
Telling them to get back to
I
work.
was a guy
To keep your shows going.
What's going on? I'm not following. What's going on?
There's a strike.
I know. John Mulaney posted his whole. Did you see what he posted?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
basically,
love that John Mulaney goes, I'm first and foremost a writer.
Yeah.
You're first and foremost a millionaire. You're making crazy money. Your cocaine problem and turned into. They must have paid him how much for that special?
Okay, so
I'm sure he already had
Eddie
it
Murphy,
North of
Eddie
10
Murphy got
mil.
$70 million. I mean, and he hasn't even released this yet.
Wow.
he has a new one.
I would say 22 million.
Apparently, I don't think he's ever going to do it. 22?
Bobby 22.
I probably. At least, I wonder what Chris Rock got.
I'm looking at myself in your camera. I look like a hostage. Is this lighting and the white pants and what's my background?
We'll fix it.
Well,
We'll fix
we'll
it.
zoom in. We'll zoom in.
Yeah,
We'll add
do me a
effects.
favor. I look like literally. I'm like
I'll say these lights.
I
don't do great.
am being fed and medical attention.
Tell them to join the Patreon or we'll kill you.
Yeah.
Well, Modi, I have so much I want to talk to you about. I
So
do want
do
to.
it.
I want to complain about something on my
do
own.
it.
It's honestly, it's for advice about my father.
Okay.
My father. So he has not flown since him and my mother divorced.
Wait, when? Wow.
Never flown. Doesn't fly.
Where does he go?
He when I was at University of Miami in Florida, he would drive down there
From where?
from Maryland.
Wow.
Drove back.
So you're talking
This
20
happened,
years?
And again, I told you earlier before the podcast, I can't drive. So we got back from college when he drove me home. Bad circulation or something. He took his foot. He showed me his foot. I mean, it looked like he could die. It was huge. It was misshapen. It looked like I was like, let's take it off. It was horrible. Oh my God. And then he was like mad at me because I never learned how to drive. But really, that was his fault for coddling me as a boy. But so I talked to him because my father and I we have trouble connecting, and part of me is like, you got to learn how to fly. So you come do a gig with me. He wants to visit. I'm never here any weekend. I say, you know what? You fly. Let's do something together. Be a part of my life. And basically, his whole backstory is this: he flew, normal flying. He said he dated a woman in college who was almost in a midair collision. The plane dipped. And so this woman he dated, he said a nice Jewish lady, she was in a hospital after and started breaking out and had anxiety, and it was awful. So that planted the seed of stress of flying in him.
Okay.
When my dad was 21, I think 21, he had a friend who he grew up with. They were in like a gang together in Chicago who died in a motorcycle accident. And my dad apparently was about to get on the plane to go to his funeral. He's 21, 22. And suddenly he had this fear of the plane crashing. And he was so scared he didn't get on the plane. And he didn't go to his friend's funeral.
But the plane didn't crash, did it?
The funeral, it was September 11th. No, it didn't crash. It didn't crash.
Okay.
But it was like I think it was a big I imagine a lot of shame not going to the funeral. He said apparently the guy behind him in line, he was about to get on the plane. And the guy behind him in line said, "Are you okay? You look like you just lost your best friend." And my dad always quotes this. He was like, oh my God, he could see all of this. So then I say to my dad, I said, okay, but you flew after that. You flew with my mom. He went to Europe. They went to Italy for honeymoon. They did all these flights. And he said, yeah, I don't know. But after the divorce with my mother, who he doesn't speak to, who he doesn't have a kind word to say about in this world, he that's what changed it.
Yeah.
And he has not flown since. And so I talked to him. I say, let's do it.
Let's get your mom back.
Let's do it. Let's get my mom back. Let's go. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Fuck it. But and I said to him, like, mate, you have a drink. And he's like, no. He read an article somewhere, drinking increases. He knows just enough therapy
Right.
to not ever do anything. It's the worst amount of therapy to know. And part of me is like, the only way this man's going to fly, and this is my mentality, is for me to force him to say, we're buying tickets. We're going to go to the airport. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he'll freeze and he won't get out of the chair. I don't know if he won't get out of the car. I'm sure he doesn't want me to see him like that. I don't want to see him like that. But I feel like I'm the only one who can be like...
How old is he?
He's 69.
Why is it important for you to make him fly?
Yeah, like what's your goal here?
Because I think
Leave
a
him
couple
alone.
things. Because I think...
You don't speak about him like you want to fly with him.
Leave him alone. Yeah, what do you-
because this is a man who's depressed,
Are you worried that you
who's
are someday...
self-isolating, who we don't have as much of a relationship with. I don't have as much relationship with it. My sister is basically living in Florida. He's driving. He's making himself miserable. I want him to be able to be free. He can finally go visit all those Russian women he's talking to online every night. He can't drive there, and I just feel like
Is he working out his act on us? Is this part
no,
of the show?
not yet.
Not yet.
But
I'll throw this mic right at you if you start doing your act. I will throw this mic right at you.
I mean, my daddy's got a new girlfriend. We have a lot
This is
in
the
common.
heaviest microphone I've ever held in my life.
What are you talking
I've
about? It's
nev-
a regular microphone, Modi.
It's literally like 4 pounds heavier. And is it not?
I have to say...
Russell is
One
used
of
to
the-
this
I
don't
pose.
hold
He's
a lot
hitting
of-
this pose every night.
No, I have one of those ones like that. Yeah.
Those of you who are watching, please send some money to Patreon so we can get the stand so I don't have to hold this mic.
I
We
wanna
had the stands. We didn't.
You're
No
a
one used
stand-up
them.
comedian. You do this every night.
Yeah, it's not, first of all, it's not night. It's not working. It's this mic is literally 4 pounds heavier than any other mic I've ever held in my life. Yeah, and I'm not gonna do the whole like,
Who's that? Who does that?
if I could get the name, how funny that would have been. The guy that's on the wheelchair. The
Oh, you're going to do a
philosophy.
Stephen Hawking joke?
Stephen Hawking
Man's been
joke.
dead for 10 years. Let him sleep.
Yeah, but I didn't have that in me. I can't get my brain didn't bring that name up fast
Sure.
enough.
Your struggle right now is equal
Please,
to that of
are
Stephen
we
Hawking.
done with your father's story? We're going back
Should
to
I?
it.
So here's the question. We got a very stubborn man.
Okay.
Very stubborn man. Mm-hmm. A lot of pain, all these things. Do you think it's wise for me to go, Father, we're going to go somewhere. We're going to go to Italy. You want to go back? You say we're Italian. Let's go to Italy. And fucking bring him to the airport, buy the ticket, put that pressure on him. Because I think that's the only thing to do.
Bring him to the airport, buy the ticket. It's not how it works. It's buy the
Buy the
ticket,
ticket.
bring him to the... In the old days, you went to the airport and you bought the ticket at the
Yeah.
counter.
That would be nice. Can you imagine?
yeah.
Hey,
That was
what you
the-
got tickets to
if
today?
if you went up to the airport and go, hi, I want to buy a ticket
Hi,
for this
I'd like
flight,
to-
they'll shoot you right there on the... TSA will come... Back in the day, you could go to the airport and buy your ticket at the... Now you can't even get through. There's no way to buy your ticket.
need
Oh, you
that.
can. You can. There's a...
Oh, at the
At the...
kiosk.
Yeah, you're right. The check-in. Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about for a little bit now. But he finally gave me the full backstory. But he's one of these guys. He'll tell you the backstory every time. He's told me the story. You know, God bless his friend who passed away. It was a big event for him. But like somehow every time I ask him a question, it goes back to this story.
I want to tell you, please make this end. I also don't talk a lot. My father's not a talkative guy.
Yeah.
And I've been recently thinking about one conversation we had that was so amazing. My father had 2 years ago, he had this a cardio situation that we God intervened, and it was just a miracle. But I spent 16 hours with him in the emergency room, and then And like we never really spoke, but all of a sudden he started telling me stories about him, like when he came to America, and we came to America. I was 7 years old. I can't remember. He was like 40 or something, and yeah, he was like 40 something, and we moved in. He never told me the stories about how he began working and all that. And so he started telling me stories. Then he told me my dad was in 3 wars in Israel. The Yom Kippur War, 73, 67, and 56, I think, with the 3 wars he was in. And he was telling me the story. Like, all of a sudden, he started telling me a war story. I'd never heard anything about anything in the army. He goes, we were in the desert, and the 6-day war in Israel. That's when Syria attacked Israel. It was, in 6 days, the war was won. He goes, he described what he was in these tanks that was half tank, half truck. So there was a wheels in the front and the tracks in the back. It was the newest thing and whatever it was. And it was three of them. He was like a sergeant. There was a captain. There was whatever. And the people that were on it. And he goes, we were driving and we see the Syrians or Jordanians, whatever it was, coming at us. And like I was like I was ready to hear something like he blew them out. Or he goes, I saw the guy. He saw me. So I said, what did you do? He goes, I turned left, he turned left, we both went our different ways, and that was it. This is the best story ever. He's like, he had 2 daughters at home. I wasn't born yet. He had 2 daughters at home, a wife, a business. He needs to start firing at this guy and have him fire back at him. You understand?
Yeah.
So he said this guy also was probably reserved.
probably happens a
It wasn't
lot
like an
in war.
18-year-old. Yeah. It was like reservists.
Yeah.
Reservists. Like, I have to get back home. I can't be firing at him and him firing at me. They both went left.
Yeah.
And he said, and I'm here today because we didn't start shooting at each other.
Yeah.
I like-
so funny. I was like, how did I not tape this?
That's how every war should end. Everyone goes, what are we going to do?
What are we
Shoot
gonna
each
do?
other?
laugh.
Why are we doing this?
What are we doing?
Why are we doing this? We have people in charge doing this.
And so funny. But yeah, I'm sorry you have this whole thing with your father. I mean, my dad's 86, and now his hearing is like shot.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to get into it and get the right hearing aid and have the ones that there's apps with your phones. There's so many amazing things that he doesn't.
They don't want it. My dad has the same thing.
He doesn't want to hear anybody.
Does he? My dad says to me, he's like, you're not enunciating well enough. And I go, Father, please. No one complains
If you
about
call
my
your
volume.
dad father one more time, like we're
What
on
do you call him?
like we're on
Papa.
like
Papa.
we're on what's it called? God, Laura Ingalls on Little House from the Prairie. Father?
Do you call him father?
Do you call
No,
him father?
I say dad.
Daddy.
Dad.
It's this. It's
Daddy.
just dad. What do you call your dad?
Dad.
Dad.
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah, but I call him Abba. It's Hebrew, but I'm gonna say father.
Abba.
Abba, yeah.
I'm gonna say Abba.
yeah.
With my dad, just to mix it up.
Well,
See what he thinks.
For sure, he'll never fly with you now. If you could start calling him Abba, he's never gonna fly with you. Like, ugh, my kid became more Jewish now. He's gonna call him just call him by his Hebrew name, Chaim Yankel ben whatever his Hebrew name is.
I need a Hebrew name. Do I automatically have one? Who would know what
When
my
you
Hebrew
were
name is?
at your bris, you were given a Hebrew name.
Oh, I don't know.
Look
I
it
mean, I
up.
had a bris, so I must have had a Hebrew name. I'll text my mom right now, see if she knows what my Hebrew name is.
Yeah,
I'm getting closer to. What's your Hebrew name?
Mordechai Mordechai.
Mordechai.
Yeah.
Now you were circumcised.
Yeah,
Do you
but I
think they
didn't
gave
have a
you-
bris.
You Jewish?
No, I'm not.
So then you don't need a bris. You just,
Yeah, I know.
Why do they do that? Someone told me recently, like, why are you circumcised?
Just because everyone does it in
Yeah,
America.
it's a regular
It's
thing in
just-
America.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really have to request not to have your kid circumcised when it's born, whatever.
Did you have is there it's a ceremony though? And you did all of that?
How does he? What are you asking him? He was 8 days old.
No,
Hey,
I know, but
Mom.
like I'm saying, like did
Mom, do you know what my Hebrew name is? Do you know what my Hebrew name is? And did I have a bris or was it just at the hospital? I feel like it was just at the
I
hospital.
don't think you had a bris.
Were you close with your dad?
I am. He's still alive. It's his birthday today. I just called him.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's 87 years old.
But he like you were close as a kid. Did he? Because you're an artsy guy.
I'm not an artsy.
He was a soldier. He was in 3 wars.
Everybody in Israel was a soldier. It wasn't. You'd have been a soldier if you were in Israel.
I don't think
you'd
so.
have,
You would have been.
You would have been.
Yeah.
Gail
You
Godot was.
definitely. You'd be the one for sure making the left turn. Because I'm not fighting this guy. You'd be
Yeah, left turn. I'd be turning the other way around. I'd be going in reverse.
Yeah.
But you left Israel when you were 7?
7, yeah.
Why did they leave?
6, 7, yeah. They left opportunity, America, golden land, and all of their siblings were already here. My parents, we were the last ones. All my parents' siblings moved to America right after the army. My father stayed in Israel, had a business, and then to bring us closer to the cousins and all that, we moved here.
How at the time was Israel like, please stay and make this place great?
I don't remember. I just, first of all, you're talking about 1976 or 77. I am more focused on how do you move a family of 3 from Israel to New York with no internet? There were no Google Drives. What neighborhood should we? What are the prices of the apartments? What was none of that.
Yeah.
I am so blown away how they did it.
Well, that's why those communities, I think, had to stick together because it'd be like, well, where do we go? Well, all the other Jews, they went to
this place.
so I guess we go there.
Someone will help you out.
Because you couldn't look up like, oh, let's go some other. So where did they move? Here?
We moved to New York, yeah.
Which part of New York?
We moved our first year to Queens. And then when my parents decided, okay, we're staying in America, they bought a house in Long Island.
I was thinking maybe your place was at the Tenement Museum. We could go there, see your old place, see your old bedroom.
Do you know that I never visited the Lower East Side until I bought my apartment there?
No.
I'd never gone below, definitely went below Houston, but like never below Delancey. So it was just funny that now I live here since 2004.
Have you been to the Tenement Museum yet?
I walk by. I feel so horrible for people doing it. Could you imagine sitting there on a tour? Hi, this is where I'm. We call when they first moved to this city in 1912, and to see a whole bunch of people that are so upset that they set themselves up for this. Like at the time, hey, this is a great thing. Let's do this walking tour of the museum, and then you just see some woman super excited with her little vegan handbag, just yelling at them. And then during the time when FDR allowed immigrants and the Chinese and they all live together, and blah, blah, blah. I just walk by to go to the gym, and I'm like, ugh. The worst.
I guess it makes sense. Hey, you want to pay money to see one of the worst apartments
in Manhattan? Just bring him here. You should open your own tenement museum.
Here's how the Jews live today.
Yeah, here's how the Jews live today. It's not much better.
So you're not a fan of the old exploring old Jewish. My girlfriend had a great time. She was like, "Oh, the Jews, they came here.
Yeah,
the struggle."
I don't need any of that.
Do you like museums in general? I feel like people like museums or they don't. I'm not a museum person.
I'm not.
You're going around the middle. Picasso. Oh, colors. Ooh, wow.
I did one time go
Google it.
Where were we? Chicago. It was one of the coldest days ever in the world, and it was colder because it was in Chicago. I had a gig, and Leo and I were there for two days because they paid extra to have me come a day earlier. So we had all of Saturday to kill. I mean, or Sunday, whatever it was. And we went to this big museum thing that he was at, and I went in there and they had this like lounge area with these special chairs. And I fell asleep for an hour. He went and saw the whole museum.
Yeah. I
can't.
Yeah, I one time went to MoMA with someone and they were really into it and they were like describing things to me and I can't, like the first 20 minutes I felt like I was working so hard at acting that I was like interested in it, and then at some point I was just like I'm gonna go kind of like explore myself, and it was just me hiding from them, finding places to sit because I was like it just doesn't do anything for me.
No,
really.
But Leo, my husband knows what to bring me to. Like we went to the Andy Warhol thing, which was amazing. It's Andy Warhol, and they did it very well. And these other photographers that he knows I would enjoy the storyline of what's happening, but to just out of nowhere go, I'm not a museum fan. No.
Yeah. For a while.
You like museums?
No, I was doing it for a while. When I would go on tour, I'd be like, "Oh, what's the thing to do? Go to the art museum." And then after I saw like 5 in different cities, I'm like, "They're all the fucking same."
Yeah.
I like a modern museum. I do not want to see old pictures of Jesus. I cannot believe the amount of painters who were like, let's do one more of Jesus. Let's get him a little more bent over. Let's get him a little skinnier. It's awful.
He looks great usually in those pictures.
There was a time.
The abs.
At some point. But there was a time when they really showed him like looking shitty.
Fahaget, yeah.
And then they needed the abs.
Yeah.
It gets a little too sexy.
Yeah.
It gets a little too sexy, Jesus. So were you raised in a super Jewish community here, or were you integrated?
It was 99, but it wasn't religious Orthodox Jews. It was like all kinds of Jews. But my parents basically gravitated to just Israelis. They hung out with Israelis only, and we.
Like when you went to school, was it all?
At first, I was in a Jewish school. Then the school I went to afterwards was 99% Jewish. So, and it was a public school. It was a very good school. So we didn't need the other one.
How did the Jews here? Did they view the Jews from Israel differently? Were they divided in that sense? Did they go, "Oh my God, your parents are from Israel"? American Jews versus Israeli Jews.
No, it was. There were other Israelis families that were in the neighborhood. We're in the 5 towns. It's in Long Island. It's like literally. Now it's a super Jewish neighborhood, but back then it was just plain Jewish.
What was it like with bar mitzvahs? Because, I grew up in Potomac, Maryland. So bar mitzvahs, they were all big parties, big lavish affairs.
It was 2 years of nonstop every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, a bar mitzvah we went to. I had like 3 suits, and I would interchange the pants and suits and the ties to go to all of them. It was so much fun. Did you enjoy your bar mitzvah? Were you on the bar mitzvah circuit?
No, we had none. I grew up upstate New York.
Where?
Near Binghamton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Truly, not a lot of Jews. My cousin was Jewish, but cousins.
Yeah.
Because they had a Jewish mom.
So you never, at that age, you never even went to one?
No, never. We had no Jewish kids in my school.
I mean, it was fun.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. I mean, we had some rich kids.
Yeah.
I mean, the one guy, he was so rich. First, it was only boys were invited. Like some of the bar mitzvahs, it was co-ed, and some it was just the boys, and it was usually like the lamer kids.
But you went to
only
public
had the
school?
boys. No, it was a private school.
But not a Jewish private school.
No, just a regular school.
Okay.
But there's just a lot of Jews who live in Potomac, so I did go to I must have gone to 20, and he had like a make your own music video with the green screen station.
Yeah. We had the
sushi.
themes.
And you're too young. I mean, at least where we were, no one was sneaking in any alcohol. We were too young and private schooly. I wish we had. That would have been a lot more fun. But it was fun. Bar mitzvahs were fun because you got to see your friends' parents drunk. You got to see like the dad of the bar mitzvah boy really just start celebrating for real.
And you liked that.
It was just fun to watch. Like, oh my God, Jed's dad is being real silly.
Yeah.
Were they big parties? When there's so many Jews, are they all huge?
It's a very rich neighborhood, and they spent crazy amounts of money on these and the themes. And
what were the themes?
Mine was New York City. I had everything New York City. It was like Broadway and every buildings and all these
like
amazing...
Broadway. Like, did you have like a sign like Cats or
no?
Phantom?
It was one Broadway thing. It wasn't like a big. It wasn't a Broadway theme. It was New York City. So there was like the bridge and the skyscrapers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And but they were so over the top, and I remember the best ones were when you left, they handed you a bag of bagels, cream cheese, and then fat New York Times, and you went with that, and it was so much fun.
That's what they did. Yours are all bar mitzvahs?
All of the most of them.
I went
New York Times as like a parting gift.
Well, his theme was New York.
Saturday night.
No, he said all of them.
Oh.
He said that was like a parting
yeah.
gift.
Oh, weird.
A big thing of
Yeah.
bagels.
Wow. I went to a wedding in upstate once, and it was very strange because it was New York themed, the wedding.
Yeah.
And it
That seems like a kid's
and
thing.
like the cake was shaped
Like what?
like the state.
Oh, New York State?
Yeah. And, well, that's what was strange about it. And at the end of the night, they played New York, and I was like, it's not really about upstate. You know what I mean? That song is specifically about New York City. And I don't but they loved New York, the state. And it was like of the weirdest wedding theme to and have a cake that's shaped like the state of New York.
That's a big thing to love.
They're like, start spreading the news, and you're like, yeah, but this isn't about
No,
upstate. It's about specifically the city. It was very weird.
very weird.
Like I'm going to Buffalo tomorrow.
Some party planner was not really in the same headspace as the people doing this.
Do you remember? So were you a performer at this point? Because I feel
No.
like the bar mitzvah is the point where you get on stage. One of the first times.
I killed my bar mitzvah. I destroyed my bar mitzvah.
What do you have to do? Like, what do you?
You sing the Haftorah.
Okay.
And then you do the prayers, and I killed it. I was.
What do you mean you killed it?
How much
Wait, they
time are we
signed you
talking?
after?
Like, how much time is
It's
this
a long.
performance?
Some of them are long. Some of them are short.
Okay, wow.
varies.
Modi blows the light.
It depends. I blew the light. I blew the light on my bar mitzvah. Absolutely. But
Were you cracking jokes? Were you doing voices?
No. The singing part. The singing.
Oh.
Yeah. In the synagogue, the temple. I was, and I felt really bad because I shared a bar mitzvah. So your bar mitzvah on the week you're born. The Torah is split up into like portions of the week, right? And so the portion that you're born, I'm explaining to them, the portion that you're born on, the portion of the Torah is where you read, right? So there was another kid that was in the same portion for that week, so we split it. And he sucked. And he didn't have it. And he didn't, like,
didn't have it.
and I'm like, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam.
You're working in some vibrato.
Your listeners are going to never pay you on Patreon because it's too Jewish now for sure. They're going to take their money back and send you hate mail.
And then the rabbi comes up to the other one and goes like, "You're not a man today."
Yeah.
I think only Modi gets this one. Do you remember the feeling in the moment where you like, in that moment where you like, oh wow, I fucking nailed that. Yeah. Did he look sad?
He was like, he just wanted to get it over with. He just wanted to get. I was ready. I cared about it. I love Jewish singing. I love Jewish music, and I love the services. Even before my bar mitzvah, I used to go to synagogue every Saturday. So I loved it. And it was like my turn. Yeah, I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah,
it was amazing.
I went to a friend's wedding, and they wanted me to like do like 30 minutes of. They wanted me to make like a show after the speeches.
No, I hope you said no.
No, of course I said no. I'm happy to do it. I'm like you. I just wanted to kill. I wanted to be the star of the wedding.
I'm talking about the service, not comedy.
Yeah. I know. But during the speeches, he had his friend who was like the funny friend, and who had a speech that like people were laughing. And if I had not been there, he would have been the belle of the ball.
Yeah.
But then I went up there, and I destroyed it.
Yeah.
He didn't have the juice.
No.
He hasn't been doing this for 8 years professionally. He works on Wall Street and has a real job.
Yeah.
And it's a good feeling. So you sang.
It's a competitive feeling you're having. That's not. I wasn't looking for that with this kid. My thing, I didn't care that I was better than him. I was just so happy I killed it on my own.
You're the most altruistic performer in the world. You do it for other people, not for yourself. So
there's a lot about you that was what your takeaway from that wedding was. Jesus, wow. That's what your dad is. That's why your dad doesn't want to fly with you.
Remember
We're cut from the same cloth.
That's why his dad doesn't want to fly with him.
I performed at the cellar. Modi went after me, and he said, "I hope you enjoyed the last comedian's audition for the chorus line."
Oh.
That's what he said.
And this one tweets it the next day without any references to where he got it from.
Oh. Wow. Okay, interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, it says a lot. Now I know why your dad doesn't want to fly with you.
It's just me. It's not just my dad. He's flying all the time.
Yeah, he's like all the time. He's got crazy miles.
Come on, Dad. Come on, Dad. We'll get some good
I'm gonna
content out of
see
this.
6 hours stuck on the flight with him, telling him how amazing I am. I am so funny. He's like, please.
So you didn't do
Take your
theater.
little notepad out.
You didn't do
your
theater.
little that you took from some comedy club. The waitresses.
These are just positive affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
Were you doing theater? I mean, you essentially in temple. You're singing.
No.
That's your performance.
That was definitely a point. My theater was in high school, senior year, they were doing a production of Fiddler on the Roof. I'd never been to the theater club, to the theater thing, they had corral, whatever the hell that meant. I thought it was horses. I thought we had horses. I never saw horses in the school. Corral, show corral they were called.
Corral.
I had no idea any of this. And the woman that came to be the director for this, for the drama league or whatever it was, knew there was this Israeli kid in the school, and she asked if I wanted to audition for Fiddler on the Roof. Now, I knew the script by heart. I watched the movie 17 times. And then I went and I nailed it. I got the fiddler, and all the kids were upset.
Wait, you got the fiddler or you got
I got
Tevye?
Tevye.
Okay.
Tevye.
Yeah.
So
He's like, I nailed it. They said,
got
you're the
fiddler.
fiddler.
I was like, that's not-
you
I
play
walked-
as the audience comes into the room.
So there was, now you keep in mind, it's all the kids who've been since their freshman year.
Yes.
In whatever the
Yeah,
hell
you're-
Brigadoon
you
or whatever
kinda
dumb
came in.
show
Yeah.
that they're in.
What year were you?
This is
Senior.
my senior
senior
year.
year. Okay, yeah.
So
You
I come in.
swooped in.
I never put in anything for the other shows. I never nothing. I come in. They knew right away when I walked on. Dear God, I killed it. I got the role. They all hated me, which I didn't care. And then that was it. We did 3 shows. I was unbelievable. I don't toot my horn. I'm not one of those comics. I slayed. I never do that. But this was in another level.
You just said you slayed your bar mitzvah, but sure, I hear you.
But again, not acting,
I know.
singing. It's more. It's a spiritual slay. It's a different.
Did you have a film recording of you as Tevye?
So you're talking about 1987 or 88. No one had. So the one kid whose father recorded it, I'm talking about he had a camera like today. It's like a 4K, like a camera, a massive camera.
Yeah.
And he kept it only on his son, who was like an extra. So I'm up there doing "If I Were a Rich Man."
You gesture into the camera.
and you see the kid like this. It's all you see is his dumb son. And so there's no real recording of it.
Yeah.
Then nothing. That was it. Went to college. Done. And then I came back from college. I worked in investment banking, and I would imitate the secretaries. And my friends would. I worked in the international division of Merrill Lynch, so it was all these foreign accents. I would come home and to all my friends and just do the imitations, and they'd be like, "You have to do this on stage. You got to be kidding me. Do it in a comedy club." So I'm not a comedian. I'm not going to a comedy club. I've never been to a comedy club.
What kind of accents? What were we talking here? Like show me some of these
Spanish.
secretaries.
I'm not going to do my act for you. Spanish. There was a gay secretary. There was all these different. And by the way,
gay, the
if
whole
you
thing.
find those tapes now, completely undoable. You could not do any of that material on stage today.
Yeah.
It was so out there, over the top, not racist, but like you just can't do that today.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's how that began. My friends organized my first comedy night at Stand Up New York back in '93ish or
Wow.
so, and then I began
Back
doing.
when people were still going.
And then I caught the bug there. And then started doing shows.
Were you doing the voices then? Were you like,
So it was like an open
hey guys,
mic?
here's the secretary. Is that the thing? What was your act, or was it like? Were you talking about your family?
No,
or-
there's nothing Jewish yet.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
all over the top characters, kind of like his act. It's just over the top characters. The Spanish lady, the gay guy,
Wait, can you talk to me about what the gay guy was?
It was this. Hello. It was everything he began. Everything he began with the hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. This is back then. This is before now. This is before everybody's seen RuPaul. This is before. It's like, and the secretary. She began everything with mira and ended with maricón. Coño, with coño. Mira, coño. It was so out there, and I had been doing it. I didn't realize I'd been doing it for my friends so long that I had a bit. These were bits.
Yeah.
And so I just did them on stage. Everybody else on that night bombed. So I went up there full confidence. I am the only guy on stage not wanting to be a stand-up. I was just having a night with my friends. I had no idea where this was going.
I can see me being the comic in the back, like working out my jokes, and he goes up, he's like, hello, and just murdering. And I'm like, what the fuck? Hello,
That's just what
hello.
it was. I did it. I just come and I'm in a suit. I'm coming from work. I'm in a suit. They all look like him. Like, look this. They all look like that. Like they came out of the hamper. And I walk up there, handsome, the hair, the blah, and and just slayed, just killed it. And then Kerry Hoffman, who owned Stand Up New York, said to me, "You should definitely keep at this." And not just because he wanted. Yet back then, you had to bring 3 people to the show, and then you got 5 minutes of material. So
3's not bad. Now
Yeah,
it's
that's not bad.
5, some
Three's-
clubs.
I have no idea. I can't
like 10,
imagine what
15.
today's world of.
It's a nightmare.
I can't even imagine. I don't want to even think about it.
When you were doing the what was the company you were working for?
Merrill Lynch.
Merrill Lynch.
Merrill Lynch, yeah.
Were you at that time? Were you talking? I mean, you talk about being Jewish. Being Jewish is such a big part of your identity. Were you that open about it? Were you
But it
discussing
wasn't. It wasn't for my first few years of comedy. It wasn't my
No, but
thing.
not comedy. Merrill Lynch. I mean, like, were you able to be expressive? Did you have a lot of Jewish people working there with you? You're part of a big Jewish community now. Like, was it like that
but
when
back
you were
then,
in Merrill
I
Lynch?
was in a corporate environment. What are you saying?
What was the,
What do you think?
I'm saying, how did you act in a corporate environment?
I'm a banking
You're
Jew.
you're a loud, expressive guy. I'm saying, like, when you were working at Merrill Lynch, were you very buttoned up, or were you always like?
Back then, you had to wear a suit and tie and the whole thing. You couldn't show up with your Lululemon stretchies. Back then, it was like you're talking about 94 to 90. 93 to 99 is when I worked in that environment, and it was just suits.
Were you good at your job?
I was very good at what I did. Yes. We were in a team, and it was like I was good at my stuff. Yeah.
Was it tough to turn your back on the money for? I know you were working as a stand-up. You kind of started stand-up with gigs in the canon.
I know. So I started stand up. I was very lucky, and believe me, God made it, because otherwise He knows I wouldn't have. If I was scratching and for spots, I wouldn't have done it.
Sure.
Because it wasn't like I woke up and I want to be a stand up comic. It was just my friend said you should be a stand up comic. So at first I was doing I did a few open mics. Then the comic strip. Before Your Day, Lucian was the guy that was
I've heard of him.
So he loved me and wanted to manage me. So he was giving me spots nonstop, and I was so over the top. I was closing the shows on the weekends, and back then that room was, it's a room you can't bomb unless you suck.
Yeah.
It was such a great room that Just for Laughs stopped doing auditions there. Because it said that's not a good gauge.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, here I am just starting comedy, and I'm getting closing weekend spots at the Strip, full house, packed.
Did any comics resent you?
Probably.
Yeah.
And then SD, I got in the door with SD, and April 94 is when I got passed at the Comedy Cellar, and that's when I clock in as I'm a comic.
Yeah.
1994, April, at the Comedy Cellar, I was passed. And then since then, I've been doing comedy. But I was doing it full time with Merrill Lynch until 99.
And when did you really start leaning into talking about being Jewish? And I mean, I watched a bit here. It was, you were talking about the difference between Ashkenazi Jews and Sephardic Jews. And I couldn't tell you a thing about. I mean, it is like a niche market. Was it a real conscious decision? Did you just keep having joke ideas that leaned into that? How did it come to be? Because I imagine when you go to the Cellar, you're not always doing the difference between Ashkenazi.
No, I don't do that there. You can't do that there.
Of course.
No, the title of my special is Know Your Audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my. Look at your room. You figure out what you can do and can't do.
Yeah.
But that clip was from a show about, there was all Jews. It was my show. I took, I don't know what theater that was. I took the theater, I sold out, and it was my people.
Yeah.
And they love that stuff. At the Comedy Cellar, I don't do that stuff. It's just still a Jewish voice. But the Jewish voice began, right away, somebody saw me, and I worked clean. For some reason, I worked very clean. I never said F and S on stage. So somebody brought me to a synagogue show. Hi, my synagogue's doing a comedy night. And then from that, I got hired to other events. And work begets work.
Yeah.
And I always wore a suit, which I always tell all my opening acts, just get a suit. Just get a suit. Just Eric Newman, just get a suit. I gave Eric like 3 suits. Eric Newman.
But I Sometimes I see comedians, they get their late night debut or something, and they put on the suit, and you can tell
They
haven't put on a suit in
ever.
fucking 10 years, and they look like a fool. The suit's not. For some people, the suit's not right.
Okay, so for the late night, they don't need it. Late night, go on as you. Go on with your schmatas. But you're going to an event. You're performing not in a comedy club. You're performing.
You're going to a synagogue.
You're
to
going to a
perform.
synagogue.
Listen, I'm hoping to get in the Jewish circuit, so sure, I'll listen to you.
Yeah.
I'll put on my one suit.
There's at any one of these events it's an event where comedy's not meant to be done. Those are what I call a gala, a fundraiser.
I see.
Wear your suit so that somebody sees that and says, "We need that in our event."
Oh yeah, that fancy restaurant that you performed at that bombed at. Did you wear a
Nobu.
suit?
I think I wore a button down. Button down.
Yeah.
Suit would have been better.
Yeah, a suit would have been better.
Yeah, I would have killed. It was an 80th. Did we talk about it on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 80th birthday party. John Borromeo got it for me. The woman before me talked about the Holocaust and cried, and then they
Oh.
brought me on stage.
Yeah, that's my life. My life. Are you kidding me? I did a fundraiser for a Holocaust museum called the Museum of Faith. It's like a new angle they have on the Holocaust Museum. The guy that spoke before me talked about. I don't know if it was him or somebody he was talking about that. He goes, in Auschwitz, when you wanted to kill yourself, you knew you could just run onto the fence. It was electrical and you'd just be fried. And I don't know if it was him or somebody who was telling the story. He was reading a story of one of this faith. The museum's theme was what kept people alive. And he goes, he was running towards the fence to kill himself, and all of a sudden he hears the singing of Mao's Tzur, the song you sing during Hanukkah. He goes, oh my God, it's Hanukkah. And then he just turned around and didn't kill himself. And here's Modi. That's my life. My podcast is called "And Here's Modi" because that's what I follow. We're raising for money for juvenile diabetes. They put the movie on. The guy, I haven't lost my sight. They took my toes off. There's a machine in my pancreas, and here's Modi. Literally, that's like my whole.
Do you ever go for the riff off for that one? The
Sometimes
Holocaust,
you have
You go
to.
up and you go, well, now
Sometimes
I
you
want to
have
kill
to.
myself. Where's the fence?
No, you got to do it right. 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 You can't. You got to do it. An example. One time I did a show for Park East Synagogue, one of the richest synagogues in New York City, and they had at the Waldorf Astoria when it was still open before the renovations, and 1,000 people. And the rabbi was up there with the guy they were honoring, and the guy they were honoring is a son of a survivor, and they brought the father up, and they're talking about how we could have been names on a wall, but we survived, and they put me on the kinder transport to leave, and they didn't stop Holocaust storing it. And the guy that ran the event said, Modi, just go up there. This has to end. We have to serve dinner, and so I walk on stage. This is one of the most prominent rabbis in New York. The guy that they're honoring is a trillionaire. He owns a football team or something. And I just walk on stage and stand by the podium. And they both look at me like this. And they just turn and goes, hello, Modi. I go, hello, Rabbi. And they just began to walk off. So now the audience is looking at me. They've just literally had Schindler's List in real time. And now what do I open with? I go, ladies and gentlemen, I am neither a son of a survivor or a grandchild of a survivor. In the mid-1930s, both my grandparents living in Eastern Europe looked around and said, this doesn't look good. Let's get the hell out of here and go to Palestine. I said, Palestine. And the Israeli ambassador was there. So the room blew up. It was the funniest line I could have done. And then it said, enjoy your dinner, and got off. Like, you need to know. You need to, It was like, I'm letting them know. My grandparents knew this wasn't good. They got the hell out. They forgot about those Jews that got out before the war. So it was like, you have to be very careful. But yeah.
When you said it, was that your first time ever using that line, that joke?
Where else could I use that line?
Of course.
Where else? Were you
moment. Nervous? Did you have that little thing inside?
Either this is going to die or it's going to kill it. But it killed.
Survive.
You get to just... Could you imagine?
What would your line have been?
No idea.
If you had to do one of your characters.
Luckily, I'm not a stand-up, so I don't have to worry
You're
about
like
that.
my
sort of-
accountant
They're
character.
like, woo, bleep, bleep, bloop, you know.
So in the last, I did my research. You've been talking more on stage about being gay.
I did my research.
And I'm so curious in this. You build this big following, with Jewish people, and I'm sure it covers the spectrum: liberal, conservative,
100%.
Hasidic, everything.
Yeah.
And what was first of all? I mean, did you talk about being gay on stage at all?
No.
In the past,
No.
Was it ever something you wanted to? I mean, there must be
No.
material ideas for jokes that you had to go. Nah, I won't.
It didn't even. They weren't even ideas that came to me. Even now, when I talk about it, I don't talk about being gay. I talk about being married to a millennial who happens to be a man. It's still not like I'm more Jewish. I'm more Jewish than I am gay.
Sure.
So the material is more always Jewish. In my special, I have a whole thing about the gay, but again, it's me being married to a millennial.
Yeah.
And it's the age difference more than it's the gay world.
When you did that Merrill Lynch person with the gay voice, was there
Yeah.
any part of you that said like,
No, I was literally imitating this guy at work.
yeah,
And the secretary at work. And the Chinese, which you cannot do today. And there's a
Sure.
billion things you just cannot do today. I was just imitating them. I had the character in my head, just zipping it right to the audience with punchlines, and that was it.
Sure.
Super over the top. It would have made you look tame.
yeah.
It was that crazy, and I have some tapings of it, but like, Noam just now recently found at the Comedy Cellar old tapes.
You know how
I would hold on to
I
it.
have to see it.
You know how the seller sometimes posts like old clips from the archive. Can you
Yeah,
imagine you go on Instagram one day and there's you and they're like, and this is Chinaman from Merrill Lynch.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, you got to take this down.
Yeah.
There's John Panay. Did you?
Of course.
Yeah, John Panay. I've talked about him before. Amazing comedian, but every album of his ends with him going to the Chinese buffet.
Right,
And you're
but-
like, oh no.
No, but he does the voice, the Chinese voice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like every album ends with it. It's not going to fly this day. I mean, it's just one of these legacies that it's a tricky legacy because people aren't going to play it anymore.
Right.
And he was a brilliant comedian. My
Brilliant.
God, force of nature.
Yeah, and back then, the word Oriental was still on the table.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
That's not on the table anymore. At all.
We're going to bleep it out of this podcast.
Probably, yeah. But it was
When you in Israel, what are gay rights like in Israel right now?
Israel is amazing for gay rights.
Yeah?
It's insane. They have a parade. They have gay. It's amazing.
What did you feel like when was there any part of you that was nervous that your audience, this huge audience that you've built, that some of them would go, oh, what the fuck?
No,
felt- yeah?
and we've only added more from it. And
Sure.
it's be loyal to your audience, be true to your audience, and the rest will follow. It's a motto I believe. And so my audience is loyal to me. I'm loyal to them. They know I deliver. Know your audience. They know I know what to talk about at whatever event is happening, and so it only helped. And look, I was becoming more and more popular and more. I don't say celebrity status, but more and more known, and bigger following, and all of that. And I'm married, and I'm living with my husband, and so we took control of the narrative. We saw one of the people that followed me and was a big fan is a woman who worked for Variety magazine. So we approached her and said, "Hi, we'd like to invite you to one of our shows." And I was in LA, and she came to the show, and I go, "This is my husband." Her mouth just dropped. And then she did the whole story on Variety, and it was an insane, amazing piece. And then that went out, and then we did an article for a Jewish publication, just so to really hold the story together, and that was it. Better than somebody else deciding I'm gonna take control of his narrative. You understand?
Of course.
So, yeah.
What aspects? I mean, I know Judaism; it's a big spectrum of beliefs.
Yeah.
But I've told the story in here before of when I did my birthright trip. We had a Hasidic tour guide. or he was like the guide for the whole thing. And at some point, he said, "Oh, we're going to play a game called Stump the Rabbi. Ask me anything about Judaism." And I was like, "How do you feel about homosexuality?" And he gave like one of these very vague, like, "Oh, life is hard. If someone said they're gay, I'd give them a hug because life is tough." And it was just very clear he was beating around the bush, ultimately, that it was not a lifestyle that he approved of.
I will tell you, the goal of every Jew is and people don't understand, is to bring Mashiach, to bring the Messiah. That is the goal. Some Jews don't know that that's the goal, but that's the goal. See, I don't know if you saw my hat. Mashiach energy. Mm-hmm. That's the goal. You have to create, whether it's with another man, another woman, and whatever it is, that's your goal. That's what you have to do, to bring a messianic era, a peace, harmony in the world. We do it through comedy. People do it through healing with the hospital. As long as you have a consciousness that you're doing it, and so.
But there must be some sects that aren't quite as friendly about it.
Of course, they're not creating Mashiach energy.
Sure,
they're not. They're. Some article just came out of some crazy guy that I wouldn't even. We're discussing. Should we talk about it on my podcast? He wrote some insane article about me. He holds it. He's a rabbi from Toronto. He's a clown, and he has this like blog, and if you see what he blogs about, usually it's gay issues. Like he found this photographer who does religious weddings, and she did one wedding of 2 women, and he blogged about that. And there's this other, anything gay. And usually, if you notice, when people attack one specific thing, they're struggling with themselves.
Sure.
If you ever see any of the senators or the congressmen that were always like anti-gay, they're the ones that they catch, sucking dick in a bathroom in the airport. So this guy's a mess. Why was I telling you this? Because it's just that those people that are on that route, they're not bringing messianic energy, they're not bringing Mashiach energy. They're just bringing negativity and shit to the world. But there are people. My rabbi, Orthodox rabbi at 6th Street Synagogue, the most welcoming synagogue in the world. So much fun. Danny Cohen comes there. Leah Forrester, I don't know if she is. She comes there. It's an amazing, amazing place, and you have to find the good people.
Yeah. I mean, it's good. It's good. There was something. I did some show where they made a donation, and Tova recommended this group called JQY, which is Jewish Queer Youth. It was just like but I just know that there's certain parts of it where it's. I sometimes have a struggle where I'm like, I see all the nice aspects of religions in general, and then some of them have this deep base of homophobia that I'm like, I hope it can be extricated, but for people who believe in, we got to go back to the oldest book ever written in the world, it's tough to extricate it. And it's I would love if everyone just got over it, but I sometimes wonder if there is a way for these religions to continue and somehow remove.
So they might not get over it, but that's not who I focus on.
Sure.
I said, if they have a problem with it, I don't want to be performing there.
Of course.
There's so many
people. Are there any venues you go like, no? I'm sure. Do any venues say to you, have any venues said to you, please don't talk about your husband?
One kind of like went through it a little bit. They just we tap dancing. It's a very Orthodox audience, and he said Modi knows what to do. He said Modi knows what to do. That was it. And I did. It was slated. It was an insane show.
Was there any urging you at the end to be like...
middle of Ohio.
Sure.
Wow.
It was this beautiful neighborhood in the middle of Ohio. Orthodox Jews. They have a school. There was the school. There was 550 people. It was amazing. And, they all got together. The community. I'm so blessed. I get to see all these communities in the world.
Yeah.
All the Jewish communities in the world. I get to see all of them. It's such a treat.
And is there any urging you at the end of the set to...
Huh?
Is there any urging you at the end of the set to go and my husband and to say the thing that they asked you to not say?
I don't have that in me, and I didn't, and I wouldn't have said it anyway. It's just not the audience for it.
Sure.
It's just not the audience for it. Mm-hmm. I have my material for them. Mm-hmm. They want to hear jokes about the stuff that I have for the Sephardic Ashkenazi stuff. They want to hear, that's what they want to hear, and so I give that to them. I don't do what I want to. You have to, to the audience.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And Leo,
Yes.
your husband, is he your manager?
He is. I have an agent, and he's
Something. Yeah.
He's more than my manager. He's a producer. He's the one that, when we were in COVID and I was doing characters and he put everything online, and he began taking over. He found me the agent somewhere.
Sure.
He found theaters that would take a chance on me, and we just sold out all of them. He produced my show. I did 5 shows in London. He called the theater. We sent the money. Boom. Big hit. We kept adding shows. Paris, he found a touring company, MRG, that I'm working with. He found them and produced it. And the special I just did, 100% produced and directed it.
Now because that's incredible, but since this is the downside, are there any struggles? Are there any rules or with a relationship that has work involved? I mean, there can be stressful moments. Or do you have any rules of? Let's not talk about work at this point. Have you had any struggles of having such an intense? To have both things, it's a lot.
It's a lot. But
a lot.
We have rules, and our rule is we have 3 rules that we live by: hydrate, moisturize, and be nice. That's it. If you live by those rules, it's all fine. If you hydrate, you're in a state like you came in here completely dehydrated.
Yeah.
And the first thing you hit us with is your dog's bleeding ass.
Yeah.
If you were hydrated, you might have saved us that whole thing.
Yeah. Well,
And then moisturize, which is a part of hydration. And then just be nice. Just don't look for the fight. Don't look for There's no reason for it. There's nothing that's that bad, and there's nothing that.
Yeah. I think though.
Tim Dillon thought he was off for the rest of the show. He thought, I'm going to sit the rest of this out. These 2 Jews are going at it, and I'll just sit here.
What are you about to say? You're like, there should be a 4th rule.
No. I'm fine with those. Fine. I think
Those are the 3 rules that work for us. I have no idea what your relationship with your partner is. So,
we have 3,000 rules. We have. If I have a bad set, I'm going to go take a walk around the block, have a cigarette, come back.
Smoke?
No, I just did. I had one recently. I had like one rough set, and I was about to go home with that energy, the opposite of whatever energy is on your hat. And I was, going to be like, why doesn't this, fuck this one joke. And I said, you know what? I want to have a cigarette. She doesn't like me to smoke. So it feels, sometimes you got to do something a little that, you don't like me to smoke? Well, let me do it. I need it.
Yeah.
I need to do something you don't like. And this is a nice little thing.
Yeah.
So I went around the
Really?
block, I had a cigarette.
Have that. I never had
I needed it. Sometimes I got to listen back to the set. If I had a bad set, that's just what I needed to do.
Okay.
You ever have a bad set?
Rarely.
Sure.
Rarely, but once in a while, that audience is not all there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
how do you deal with that?
You plow through as though they're with you 100%. I was telling him before you came, I've been performing at some theaters where they're like, the chairs are too comfortable. So you see, there's nothing worse than the audience having something that cushions their head.
Yeah.
If they slip down a little bit and they're out. Goodbye.
Yeah.
They're done.
Yeah,
They're not going
It's like me in the podcast.
Exactly. You right now on the podcast. Imagine
One day
now.
Russell's gonna come here. There's gonna be like a stump, just a big wooden box. That was the best episode we've ever had.
Yeah.
Before we go to our
Yes.
next segment, this got to stop. I do want to touch on because I rewatched it again today when you roasted Ben Shapiro at that event. And what event was that? It wasn't a roast of him specifically, was it?
It was Commentary Magazine. This I don't know how to describe them. It's kind of right-wingy Jewish magazine, very heady and very intellectual with these huge words. And these articles that just go forever and ever about the neo blah blah blahism of new Reconstructionist Democrats and things I have no idea what they're talking about. But they do a fundraiser every year at the Plaza, and they roast somebody. So the first year they did Joe Lieberman. I did that roast, and it was really good. And then I think I went a little hard on the Ben Shapiro. I never got back in.
I think I watched because you did go. I think a good heart. I mean, I think Ben Shapiro
First of all,
doesn't deserve even the fun of being roasted. I think he is scum on the bottom of a shoe. I hate the man. I think he's ridden. I hate him. And that's why I liked how hard you went. I mean, you had a line. You said, no one's inspired more anti-Semitism. Ben Shapiro's inspired more anti-Semitism than Jeffrey Epstein and someone else.
Yeah.
And then you said, at least Jeffrey Epstein had the decency to kill himself. And I was like, yeah, that's the level you got to go if you got someone like Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, but it was a room full of people that loved him, and it was in a sweet way and funny. It wasn't just being up there, and it was. And I will tell you that most of that roast was written by my rabbi.
Good.
And Leo had a few lines in there too. I had a few lines in there too, but we all pulled together to write that roast, and the Lieberman roast also.
Leo's Jewish?
No,
Really?
no.
He must love. Does he know all the things now?
He knows more than anybody than you know. He could really. I was going to say Paskin really tell you. He knows everything. Everything.
That's so fascinating. Did he convert? Did he do any of the things?
No, I don't need him Jewish.
Is he circumcised?
What are you really? What are you? Is this where you're going to take me to on your podcast here? Go back to your father on the flying.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Go fly with your father.
You had some thoughts on Ashkenazi Jews that you always tell me about.
Yeah, I think we can save them for another episode.
Sure.
though.
That one's going to
I
get
got-
demonetized.
yeah.
All right, let's go. Our next segment.
I've been here since Monday.
This has got to stop.
This has got to stop. You got a thing that's got to stop? I know Leo told you about this.
I know.
Yeah.
Did
Leo
that was
write you one?
it? You played the theme song for this segment?
Yeah.
This
I
has
don't
got
have
to
my
stop.
earphones on.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. I'm sure it's adorable, the song. Got to stop. What's got to stop? The barking from the neighbor's dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got that Russell's. He's pro dog.
I have something for the other one, but for this one, what's got to stop without being hacky? You know what's got to stop? Do you know what's got to stop? We were talking about this before. I love to drive. Period. I love to get a nice fat car. I got a beautiful car. I love to drive. I don't mind driving. I enjoy it. And since COVID, during COVID, you would drive. You'd be the only one on the road. So we live right here by the BQE, and we used to get on the BQE to go shopping in Long Island. In the big supermarket, you were scared because you wanted to have. We used to go to these big supermarkets in Long Island, so there was nobody on the road. Just to be on the Long Island Expressway alone, it was so fun. It was so great. When people came back, you'd think they'd come back a little more calm. People came back insane on the road, and now they're doing these racing. So you're on the road, all of a sudden, like right by you, they're racing. That they know the cops aren't stopping because cops aren't stopping anybody anymore because they don't want to deal with. They don't want to deal with somebody racing.
They're dealing with dog poop.
Yeah, they're dealing with dog poop. So this racing on the highway has got to stop. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. And they do it up in my neighborhood because it goes off one of those highways, and people come off, go quick, and then they get back onto it.
You're on the highway in the middle lane or if you're in the left lane, which is the faster lane, they go around you, and then you see the guy he's racing with coming through also, and it's so unhinged.
They're actually racing.
They're actually racing.
Oh.
Right, people
It's
are
like
racing
gangs. It's like Fast and Furious,
It's-
basically, but not as Fast or Furious. But
Oh, that's awful.
Sometimes they like, and then it's like, it's just traffic. They're just sitting there all of a sudden. So they just did 90 miles an hour to stand in front of you. It's so insane. That has to stop. I don't know how, but it has to stop.
This seems like one thing the police should do. One thing people could get behind.
Yeah.
For once.
The police, after defund the police said, "Have fun, we're done."
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's good policing. They go, "Oh, you don't like us? Well,
We
then
have
we
a lot
won't
more
do our
money."
jobs
Yeah.
anymore." Great. All right. Let me go to here's what I want to do first. So this is my Patreon idea.
Okay.
And you
Patreon.
don't have to participate if you don't want. I'm gonna put the names of the patrons on the screen now. This is on YouTube.
Oh.
And what I
Okay.
wanted to do to fill the time underneath real quick is I wanted to tell. I love street jokes. And I tell the one that you told me on your podcast. And if you have any after I tell this one, feel free. A Jewish one. You don't have any street jokes.
Do not.
But we're
What's
gonna
a street
start
joke?
doing
I don't know
this.
what a street joke
A street
is.
joke. It's a joke you tell at the barber shop. I'll tell the one you told me if you think of another Jewish one.
Let me hear.
This is Modi's, not me. A priest and a rabbi are on the bench. A little boy runs by. The priest says to the rabbi, "Hey, you want to fuck him?" And the rabbi says, "Out of what?"
It's a good one.
You told me that one.
Yeah. I told it to you much better, though.
What do you mean? We did the voices.
You
You're
did
right.
it- you
You're right.
did it-
The priest said,
You
"Hello."
Did it, you did it acting class. You did it like an acting class.
I overacted the street joke.
You did it. It's... yeah.
You got another? Tell me another Jew
First
joke.
of all, when you're telling a joke like this, imagine you're speaking in Yiddish. It's so much better. It's so much better. So if you know, there's a joke. A couple's having dinner in a restaurant. Over to the table comes this beautiful woman. Over to the table comes a woman. It's Yiddish. Tintish Kimt. It's literally in Yiddish. Would you ever say the words "over to the table comes this beautiful woman"? No. A beautiful woman walked over to the table.
Sure.
Right, but they in Yiddish it's backwards, so
I see.
it makes it so much funnier. So much funnier.
Can you tell me the
Anyway,
punchline to this joke? What
I'm
happened
not
with the
telling you
beautiful
the
woman?
punchline.
No, tell me what happened with the
No,
beautiful
I'm
woman.
doing this. You guys are going to clean up on Patreon and on my jokes. As is, he's got the priest.
No,
and
the
rabbi-
street joke. The street joke is you have a joke that's not your joke. Patrons are off the screen now. It's just you.
No, these aren't my jokes. Those are jokes that are out there. You out
Tell
of
me,
your
tell me a
mind?
joke that's out there. You must know all the good Jew ones.
Oh, come on.
Tell me one good Jew one, please. I tell that joke all the time.
That's the one you get? I'll give you another one then. 90-year-old man marries a 60-year-old woman. On the wedding night, she says to him, "Irving, come upstairs and make love to me." Irving says, "I can't do both."
I like that one.
That's a good one.
You can steal that too. Don't credit me on your Twitter either. Just take all my act, put on Twitter, and don't credit me.
Our final segment is music playing now.
You better count your blessings.
You better count your blessing. I got a blessing, and I think it's a different one. I fly a lot. Not a good sleeper. I've always struggled sleeping. flew to Arizona on the middle seat, terrible, and I finally found the sleeping position that works for me, and it is head back like this, and it's changed my life. And I don't know if I'm able to sleep better now because I'm older and my body's more tired and it needs it more. But I was able both times. I'm sure it looks horrifying. It looks disgusting.
Yeah.
But just head back.
With
And it
mouth
works
open
like a
You had the
With-
pillow? They had the little pillow or no?
I don't even think I like the pillow.
You don't need
I think
that.
I like.
Wow.
I need the feeling of its back.
How
But
are you in the middle seat?
Because if I fly Delta, I get something good, but they didn't have good flights, and I could pay more,
Yes.
but one time I had LOL, a comedy club where I would work in the beginning, garbage, but like some Hasids would come to the late show.
Well,
Usually just all guys. Once in a while, a couple, and they were not good audience members.
No.
Oh, terrible. But I said at one point early in comedy, I said to this guy, I said, "Oh, do you guys smoke pot?" And he stood up. He said, "No, but we'll sell it." And I was like, "God damn it, dude! You can't say that. You can't say it like that with the accent and everything. We got an image to uphold." But he said it. "No, but I'll sell it."
I did a show in time for a Hasidic audience, and it was right when the vaccines were coming. I go, "Is anybody here vaccinated?" Just because they go, "No, but he can sell you if you want. He had the vaccines to sell." It was literally that.
Oh my god.
All right,
you ever-
what's the next
do you
segment?
ever-
We got to wrap this
Yeah,
up.
okay,
I have
cool.
a whole
What's
thing.
your blessing?
And this is the longest podcast on earth.
What's your blessing?
Real quick, I was struggling before vacation with audience stuff for the show I'm doing, and it's been just taking a little time off. It's been night and day difference. I've been having a great time doing the show. I'm having so much fun. Audience has been great, and I'm thankful for that.
Great.
Yeah,
Modi,
much
do you have
better
a blessing
headspace.
for us?
I have a blessing for you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm blessed. Yeah, my comedy special we just did it. That's such a blessing that it's over. It's done. It's wow. It's like giving birth. It was like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's why I need to film it. I need to give birth. I got a 28-month baby in my stomach, and I think it's stillborn. All right. Anything you want to plug? This is coming out on May 23rd.
Okay. So, ModiLive.com for all the shows. We added a show in Paris. We added a show in Seattle. I'm doing May. So this is... all the shows might be sold out by then, but I'm doing a West Coast tour starting from Vancouver, Seattle, San Francisco, LA, the Saban Theater, sold out. And then Chicago, we might be adding another show there because I sold that theater out as well. And then going to, there's a bunch of shows in New York, and the most important, Town Hall for December 21st, my Christmas show, my holidays show, we call it, because there's nobody Christmasing in there, is going on sale tomorrow. Oh my God. Yes, tomorrow it's going on sale, which is going to be a week after, to whatever. Anyway, it's going to be on ModiLive.com. Get your tickets, find out where I'm performing near you, and be the friend that brings the friends to the comedy show. That's Mashiach energy. And if you steal that line from me, I will break through this door and smash your little machine into the wall and call your landlord.
If I changed my brand fully to Mashiach energy, I can't even say the word. It would be a real struggle.
Mashiach energy. Mashiach energy.
Mashiach energy.
Exactly.
What do you want to plug?
Come see Titanic, the musical, at the Darryl Roth Theater.
For me, I'm headlining Hilarities in Cleveland this weekend. Tickets, I'm sure, still available. Indianapolis the weekend after that. And London's doing great. We just added a third show in London.
Where in London?
Soho Theater. Yeah, so we had a third show November
Amazing.
3rd, and I hopefully by then, maybe even a fourth. And then see me in LA, September 25th at the Hollywood Improv. And remember, guy, be the friend that brings 10 friends to the show.
Yeah.
Be the friend that buys tickets and you don't even have...
Stink.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.